So, my sister Tony said something in one of her videos that really stuck with me, so I want to share that with you. She said, "Whoever does the will of our Father is our brother and our sister, and everyone else is our neighbor." So, let's talk about that a little bit more.
So Matthew 12:48, starting at 48, tells us who our brothers and sisters are. Messiah speaking. But he answered and said unto him that told him, Who is my mother, and who are my brethren? And he stretched forth his hand toward his disciples and said, Behold, my mother and my brethren. For whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother and sister and mother. So, do implies that you have to actually do something, right? You have to do the will of your Father in order to be our brother and our sister. And we see here in Revelations 14:12 what that will is. Because he says here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yah and the faith of Yeshua. So in order to be considered a saint, in order to be considered the brethren, you have to keep the commandments. That is the will of the Father, and have the faith of Yeshua. And then Mark 12:31, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Now, that's a lot of love, you guys. Who doesn't love themselves? You know, if you're loving your neighbor like yourself, that's a lot of love. So it's not a bad thing to be a neighbor rather than a brother or a sister. And we don't treat our neighbor badly, right? We're loving them as we love ourselves.
Now, going back to, for whosoever shall do the will of my Father. So, point blank, you are not my brother or my sister if you're not doing the will of my Father. I want you to be my brother or my sister, but you're not if you're not doing his will. And why aren't you doing his will? Because the church has brainwashed you, lied to you, indoctrinated you into thinking that freedom in Christ means freedom to do what you want. That's a lie. The freedom you have in Messiah, Yeshua, is the freedom to not sin. It's freedom from sin. You have been given power over all the power of the enemy, and you don't have to sin.
This is 1 John chapter 3. Please read this entire section. But it is basically saying if you continue in sin, you are of your daddy, the devil. If you do righteousness, you are righteous. So to my neighbor, I say, come out of the church. She has lied to you, and she will send you to the lake of fire. Come out of her.